Big news in the world of the Pokemon trading card game because the next League Battle deck has been revealed. And as you can see by the picture, it is Miraidon EX with Regieleki VMAX. Let's go and take a look at the contents of this deck, and I'll share my thoughts on what I think of this particular package, which is coming out on November 17th, 2023 at $29.99 US. I'm Jet from inthirdperson.com. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, Miraidon EX is an interesting pick. I may have predicted in a previous video, I thought these were going to be V-based decks. I thought there were two. I thought it was going to be Giratina and Lugia based on past precedent. I'm not going to go through all of that. The Pokemon Company have kind of gone in a different direction, not entirely unprecedented at this point in the transition from Sun and Moon to Sword and Shield. They put out a combo deck that had a mix of the two major card archetypes at the time, Tag Team and V, and they have done that again with Miraidon and Regieleki. And if they were gonna go with an EX based deck, I think there's a lot of people that are thinking, well, what about Gardevoir? Unfortunately for Gardevoir, a lot of Gardevoir's attackers are rotating out in the next rotation, and this product has to be in store shelves for a while. And so they have picked Miraidon, which is a very strong archetype, which is also going to be rotation safe. And I think the thing that might be curious for players, existing players of the game, is like, why Regieleki when the Miraidon Flaffy deck is kind of all the rage at the moment. Miraidon Flaffy, in large part thanks to Andrew Mahone, aka Tricky Jim, got 21st at the World Championships with a Miraidon Flaffy build. Looks kind of like this. It might actually be exactly this that I just pulled up on Limitless. And the reason why it's not this version of the deck is because Flaffy is unfortunately rotating out next year. Sorry for the ads, but you can see here it has got the E marking and all E cards are rotating out, presumably early next year. So instead, they have gone with the Regieleki package, which isn't necessarily the worst, but we've kind of seen that at this point in time, it's not necessarily the strongest way to play Miraidon, at least at this point in time. In the future, who knows? But looking at it from today's lens, at the very least, we know Miraidon's strong. We know this is a way that you can play the deck, and there are benefits to having Regieleki. And let's get into it. Let me go and pull up PTCG Live and pull up the deck list, and we'll kind of talk about how the deck works, what trainer cards are in there, some of my thoughts on the choices they've made and things I would like to see. But anyway, let's talk about it. Miraidon EX, basic Pokemon, 220 HP, has the amazing ability Tandem Unit, where when you activate it, you can bench two basic lightning Pokemon from your deck, put them onto your bench, and then shuffle your deck. And one of those two Pokemon can be another Miraidon, and therefore you're getting a whole bunch of extra Pokemon down on the board, letting you establish your bench very quickly. And one of the Pokemon you're going to want to get down is Regieleki V. It's got some cool attacks. Switching Bolt does 30 damage, and then you can pivot it onto the bench. And more importantly, Lightning Wall, for one Lightning, two colorless, does 100 damage, and Regieleki takes 100 less damage on the following turn. Really annoying for decks like Lost Box, which don't do that much damage on a turn-by-turn basis. But really, you want the Regieleki VMAX here. Regieleki V is just getting you to Regieleki VMAX with its Transistor ability, allows your basic Pokemon to do 30 more damage. And so if you've got two Regieleki VMAXs set up, this Miraidon attack, Photon Blaster, which does 220 damage, goes all the way up to 280 damage, which is the magic number you want to hit to take out Pokemon V-Stars, as well as a number of Stage 1 EXs as well. And all the Vs and the basic EXs will get dropped by 280, which is fantastic. So this is a deck that can set up really fast and hit really hard. Some of the other Pokemon in here, Zeraora, we get 2 copies of those, and this can technically attack. It's not very efficient. Mach Bolt for 80 for 3 energy is not good, but it does have free retreat, and it allows us to pivot in and out of the active. We oftentimes, if a Pokemon gets KO'd, you put Zeraora in the active, and then you can use something like Electric Generator, charge up your Pokemon on the bench, and then pivot Zeraora out. We also get 1 copy of the Regieleki, which is oftentimes, this is known as the bad Regieleki. It's got electromagnetic sonar for 1 colorless energy. It lets you grab a trainer card from your discard pile, put it back into your hand, and it's not the worst, but targeted bolt is really here, and I can see why it's in here relative to the way this deck is built. It does 120 damage when you discard 2 energy, and it's not limited to the active. You can snipe the bench as well. So anything that Miraidon can't finish off and your opponent tries to run away with the damaged Pokemon, you can use Regieleki to snipe that down. Of course, Manaphy is going to block this, and that's going to be a problem, so something to consider there as well. And then last but not least, we've got the Bibarel line, which lets us draw up to 5 cards, and having a draw engine in here is a nice touch. So yeah, our counts, knowing the way that League Battle decks are built, they have 6 holo cards in them, and so they've used 2 Miraidon and then a 2/2 line of Regieleki for that extra damage boost. Ideally, I would like to squeeze in 1 more Miraidon and at least a Raikou in here, so you've got a 2 energy attacker, but this is the way it is right now, and it's not bad. I should also say Max Thunder and Lightning for Lightning and 2 colorless, 220 damage, and you can't attack the next turn. This move is all right as well. And yeah, we got 2 copies of Zeraora. You probably realistically only need 1. Regieleki, you definitely only need 1 of these. It's a little bit of filler here. I would have liked to have seen, like, if you can squeeze in some other stuff, I would take 1 of each out, put in a Raikou or 2, or even go 1 more Regieleki V and VMAX to get the damage even higher. But I digress. This is what we get right now. The League Battle deck Pokemon lineups are never perfect, and relative to what they've done in the past, this is fine. It's fine. For trainer cards, we have kind of a weird mix here. We've got 4 copies of Arven. Arven's a good card. You get an item and a tool card from your deck and put them into your hand, and we can grab some really good items and tools here, including Forest Seal Stone, which we'll get to in a sec. But 4 copies of Arven feels excessive. I think this should be a 2 of max, but we got 4 copies here. 4 copies of Boss's Orders also feels a little heavy. 3 is probably fine, but I have seen some people say 4 copies in Miraidon is good. Regardless, 4 copies of Boss's Orders, you can never have enough copies of Boss's Orders in this deck or other decks. So if any extra you can put in other decks, Boss's Orders, great card. Professor's Research, discard your hand, draw 7. This is a deck where you want to move through your hand very quickly to get to the electric generators as fast as you can to set up your attackers. So 4 copies of Professor's Research makes perfect sense. 4 copies of Electric Generator. This is a new card from Scarlet and Violet. Lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you can attach up to 2 basic lightning energy you find there onto your bench Pokemon in any way you like. This is incredibly important for the Miraidon deck because it is your primary method of energy acceleration. Can help you get turn 1 donks with this deck, with Miraidon hitting for 220 on the first turn. Absolutely nuts. And it will be used to power up your secondary attackers as well. That being said, it is a high risk, high reward card, and there are going to be times when you will lose because this card bricks, which is kind of why players have leaned towards having Flaffies in their deck. Of course, we've already talked about, have we talked about that? Yeah, Flaffy's rotating, so we don't have that option in this particular build. 3 copies of Nest Ball to get our basics down. 2 copies of Switch, because while the Regieleki VMAXs have free retreat, the Miraidons do not, and Miraidon cannot attack on consecutive turns. So you're going to have to switch back and forth between Miraidons to get consecutive attacks going. So for that purpose, we have 2 copies of Switch and 2 copies of Beach Court to reduce our retreat cost, making Miraidon's retreat basically free. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Can't hate on Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards, grab a Pokemon of your choice. Excellent card. The most tantalizing card in this whole thing is Forest Seal Stone. This is a card, if you try and buy the single of it, is crazy expensive, and you attach this to a Pokemon V and it lets you grab one card of your choice from the deck, which is insane, and it counts as your V-Star power, which is fine because this deck otherwise doesn't have a V-Star power. This might be worth it, like this whole deck might be worth it alone just for the Forest Seal Stone, but we're only getting one Forest Seal Stone here, which is a little tough, but the fact that you can get it at all is pretty amazing. Leafy Camo Poncho, I understand its inclusion here. It lets you prevent your opponent from playing Boss's Orders and gusting up a Regieleki VMAX. Regieleki VMAX is primarily a bench sitter in this deck, and you don't want it to get knocked out for 3 prizes. Unfortunately, you're only getting one Leafy Camo Poncho here, which feels weird because you can't protect both of your Regielekis that way. You know, maybe one of them has the Forest Seal Stone on it, but Leafy Camo Poncho, I feel like you should have at least 2 of these based on the way this deck is built. We got 2 copies of Vitality Band. Lets you do 10 more damage, which is not bad. However, 220 to 230, it doesn't really change much in the... You're not like one-shotting. Most stuff caps out at 220, so 230 is a little bit of a weird number. And then from 280 to 290 is also a weird number because there isn't really anything at 290. So Vitality Band, it's not a bad card. It's just a weird inclusion here. And then last but not least, 15 Lightning Energy. So yeah, it's like Miraidon. I like Miraidon. I actually like Miraidon so much that I have been building my own Miraidon deck, though it is in the style of the Flaffy Raikou Raichu build. And if you wanted to get towards a build that looks more like this, you are getting a bunch of cards that get you there: the Miraidon, the Zeraora, the Electric Generators, the Research Boss. You've got a good chunk of the way there with the League Battle deck. That being said, a lot of the Flaffies are rotating soon, which does change the way that you'll be playing it going forward, and may make you go back to the Regielekis. So yeah, it's a little bit of a weird situation here. Like, I like Miraidon. It's a good Pokemon. It's probably going to be good for the foreseeable future. Like, that engine with the Electric Generators is going to be a thing. But the Regieleki version, especially in current times when the Flaffy build is doing so well, feels a little weird. And I get it from a future-proof perspective, from a we need to get 6 holo cards in here perspective, that this probably is the right way to go. But it does feel a little odd, and I'm not sure about it. If they were going to go with an older Scarlet and Violet archetype, yeah, versus, say, Gardevoir, Miraidon is probably the more complete one. Gardevoir has question marks about a whole bunch of its attackers rotating. But yeah, I kind of feel a little weird about Miraidon in this particular configuration. I will say, at the very least, you are getting a really strong archetype, and you can build on this however you want from there. So in that sense, it's good. Yeah, but for now, I gotta get going. This will not be the last time we talk about this deck. I do plan on making a preview video where I will play the Miraidon League Battle deck, not that one, the Miraidon League Battle deck as presented in the box, and we'll talk through how it works, and I'll show you how it plays so that you have a better idea of what you are getting before you buy it. And that should be up in the coming days or weeks. I try and get these preview videos out as fast as I can. But for now, I gotta get going. Thank you so much for watching. Some quick plugs before we get out of here. You can find me on all the things: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at In Third Person. You can find me on Twitch at In Third Person, where I stream the Pokemon trading card game every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And check out the website, inthirdperson.com, for more articles and videos on video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits. So until the next one, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.